Getting ready so I can share it on the Discord. How are you doing today?
Good. Just been busy running around doing all the things. How about you?
I'm doing great. A day off finally, but great.
Nice. Good.
Um, okay, we are live now. So hello everybody. I'd like to introduce Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle and the upcoming Cruel Thirst. Both amazing books, if I might add.
Thank you.
Um,
Yes.
But my first question would be, I mean, if you would describe your books to new readers or to people who are not familiar with your work yet, how would you describe your books?
Oh man, this is tough. I'm so bad at this. But so Sinner's Isle, which is my debut young adult romantasy, follows Rosalinda, who is a majestic, which means she has magic. And because of that, she and other women like her have been banished to this small island in the center of the sea, Sinner's Isle. And the only way for them to get off that island is if they bind their power to a man of influence. Obviously, we hate that. So Rosa wants to set herself free. She wants to get off the island. And so she blackmails a recently marooned pirate, Mariano, and hijinks ensues. A Cruel Thirst, which is coming out December 17th, so in less than a month, follows Carolina, who is she comes from a long line of vampire hunters, and she wants to prove that she can do that too. But her father would rather marry her off, and to keep her safe in his mind. But she doesn't want that. She wants to prove that she can fight vampires too, just as good as the guys in her family. And so she's determined to prove that she's capable, more than capable. Unfortunately for our poor male protagonist, Lalo, who is a recently turned vampire, who enters her pueblo trying to basically to turn himself back. He's trying to save himself. And unfortunately for him, he bumps into Carolina, who wants to kill him. And so the first little bit of the book is him trying to survive her. And then they learn they can team up and work together. And again, hijinks ensues for both books.
They are. I've had the honor of reading both, and I can say both 5 stars. They are great. I highly recommend them to people. I know that you have another like technical book coming out soon. You are a
Yeah.
part of the Owl Crate anthology, uh,
Yes.
Monsters in Masquerade, I believe. So
Yes.
with a bunch of other great authors like Gabby Burton, I believe, and my mind just blanked.
No,
Isabel
there's,
Cañas
yep.
in it. And so, what was that like? The writing that story or your short story? If you could talk anything about that, like.
Yeah. So that was the first short story I ever wrote. And it was really hard. I didn't realize how hard short stories are because, like I have an entire book to world build and to build characters and whatnot. And so yeah, this story was like such a growing and learning process. It was really, really fun because Monsters in Masquerade is new adult technically, but like you can kind of run the gambit, but it has new adult, young adult. Like it's a mix. And so I wanted to like see what I could do with these older characters.
Hmm.
And it was really fun. So when I like was approached with this idea of like it's kind of just open, like your interpretation of Monsters in Masquerade, it could be anything pretty much. And so for me, like immediately I thought, okay, masquerade ball, like duh. Uh, and so like I was like, okay, what would I love if I were to go to a masquerade ball, and I would be like a haunted like looking gothic style manor in the middle of the woods, like all the vibes. So yeah, I started creating this world based off of vibes, and basically it follows a young woman who gets this invitation out of nowhere, basically to come and sit for an artist at this masquerade ball. And so she goes and she recognizes this person immediately, but she doesn't know how necessarily. And it basically, like, through a series of events, we learned that this person and her have had lives together before. And so, yeah, so it was really fun to write, I'm not gonna lie, but really hard. So I'm excited for that one because it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Alcrate just killed it with the cover and the sketches
Yeah.
each. Oh my
Those all look
gosh.
gorgeous.
Yes, they killed it, truly. They're so good.
Okay, so the next question we have is, what was your like gateway into reading and storytelling? Like, what is your, I guess, origin story of being a writer, and what brought this as what you want to do, and like creating stories?
I love that. Yeah, like when I was little, I loved reading, like Goosebumps and like Are You Afraid of the Dark, scary stories. Like I loved just like the weirder and creepier the better. Those are always the stories that just drew me in as a kid. And I stopped reading as, like a teen, and then like once I probably like in my 20s picked it back up again, like starting off heavy with Pride and
Mhm.
Prejudice and all of like the classics, um, like romance classics, and like finding Nora Roberts, and like I just found romance and I loved it so stinking much. And so like my preference is like romance, but also like fantasy, a little creepiness, darkness. Like I love just all of that stuff. And so I was a reader, um, for a long time, just a reader. Never thought about writing. It was never really an idea in my head of something I could do. Um, my my partner, actually, it was his idea. I like stopped working. We had just like moved and we had this property, and so I stopped working, and I was just really lost, like about what to do in life, and missing like creativity because I had danced before and like did that stuff. So like I always have wanted to do something creative. And so it was his idea because like he just came up to me one day and was like, "Well, you love books." And it's true. I was obsessed. I was like nonstop just reading. And I also come from a family of storytellers. My grandfather was a poet. My uncle is a playwright and actor. So like he was just kind of like, why don't you just try? I mean, it's in your blood. You love stories, so just try it. And I did. I took his laptop and I had no idea what I was doing. I just like started writing. Well, I love like, what was I watching at the time? Like Shadow Hunters,
Mm.
like Cassandra Clare. I was like so into those stories. So I was like, okay, well, what if I write about like a finishing school, and there are all these kids and they have gifts. And so like I just wrote for probably like a year, and then I finally finished a book and didn't know what the heck next. And so um yeah, I just kept learning new techniques, new tricks on writing as I was like learning on this book. So yeah, I truly, it kind of, I have to blame and thank my partner for understanding me probably better than I knew myself. Because truly, like, this is the happiest and the most fulfilled I probably have ever been in my life, because I'm surrounded by books. I get to write, and like the writing and bookish community are just the best. So it's been pretty great.
That's good. I like the kind of faded to be almost of like with especially like the family, your family history and stuff. I like that. That's
Yeah.
like, interesting. I'm looking at my notes and my questions are if you see me looking at my phone.
Yeah. No, no, no worry.
Where did the spark for Cruel Thirst come from? Like,
Hmm.
where was that initial idea that was like, oh, I could do this?
It was like a building situation. So like I had just finished Sinner's Isle, or like with my publisher, like we were done. And the book was off to the printers, pretty much, sort of a thing. And part of my deal with Joy Revolution, who is my publisher, it was a 2-book deal. So we had Sinner's Isle and then a second book. The second book was like, we hadn't really discussed it yet. It was just, and a second book. I was hoping it was going to be still in the Sinner's Isle like universe in the world. But we're like, well, my publisher's like, let's explore something else, like a new standalone idea. And so we just started kind of like spitballing ideas, like we're talking about like maybe fallen angels, or I was like, what about this boarding school thing I came up with? And like, nah, not that one, girl, not that one. So yeah, and I think one of my publishers, David Yoon, it might have been him, who mentioned vampires. And immediately I was like, yes, 100%. Yes, I freaking love vampires. Who doesn't love vampires? And so I just started brainstorming ideas of what I could do with vampires. And right around that time, I watched The Mask of Zorro, and I thought, yes, that's it. Like, it's got to be in this world, like kind of a Western, Alta California, like world. And so slowly we started building on that. And I thought, okay, what is this vampire main character? Who is he? What's he gonna look like? Who is he? I didn't understand. And I was just kind of chatting with my friend Melanie Schubert. And she, originally I was thinking, okay, obviously he's going to be this like ancient, hot, broody alpha character. And she was like, what if you like switched it up? What if you like flipped that on its head? And what if he was just like a baby vampire, like just turned? And again, that's when everything sparked. And that's when the whole story just took off. Like, of course, he's going to be this like sweet, soft, like kind mess of a vampire. And I love that idea so much. So yeah, I built it all pretty much off of him.
Amazing. I mean, he's one of the best like standout characters for me, at least, of the book. And I really did like that reading it, because most of the time, especially in YA, you get that vampire of like hundreds of year old vampire dating a 16-year-old girl. And that so I do like that you're like, let's make it healthy. Let's make it healthy by having him be a vampire for a couple months.
Yeah. He's like your age, actually, girl. Like, you're fine. Yeah. He hasn't been through that much.
Yeah. So I thought that was really refreshing to see in the vampire medium of it. And so that, and then also him being the kind of softer character too, to her being the like, usually the vampire is the one that's like, you got the Bella Edward kind of like the protector, but she's more of the fighter.
Yes.
Which I thought was really a fun, I wouldn't say twist, but just way to do the dynamic.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a blast. I'm not going to lie. It was so fun like writing these two characters who are so different in so many ways.
Yeah. And another question I have, so you have these two characters, and you say that he kind of was your like original. When it comes to, because your main genre is romance, or at least romantasy. When it comes to creating your couples, like, does it come first of like, oh, these two characters, how does that, like the love interest or the finding the connection when writing that, what is your thought process for that?
Yeah, so I think for Sinner's Isle, I really wanted to make sure that both of those characters were sort of dealing with their own stuff. And then them coming together was like, okay, like we can trust each other and get through it. And with A Cruel Thirst, it felt like I wanted to kind of write both characters where they were challenging each other and their thought processes. So with Carolina, she has this idea of what monsters are, about what evil is. Everything she sees in her life is black and white, wrong and right. And then we have Lalo coming in, who is the very thing that she has sworn to take down. But she sees that maybe what she has thought about these vampires is not all correct. Maybe what she's thought about the world is not all black and white. And so because he has come into her life, he has challenged her and helped her grow as a human. And then on his side of things, he's always been sort of shy, like a recluse. And when he speaks, it always feels like for him, nobody ever really listens. And she is one of the very first people that truly listened and decided to like join up with him. And so like it feels like for me what I love to do with characters is make them so they challenge each other, but also that they complement each other, and that some parts of them can heal these broken little bits for the other person. Not like solve their problems, but soften them and make them feel seen and that it's okay. So yeah, like I just love to just mess with them. Like make them hate each other at first, but then they really, really see each other, and that's where like the beauty lies.
Yeah, this book has one of my favorite like dynamics of oh no, they're hot.
Yeah.
Moments that I just, especially there's some scenes in this book where I just heard that multiple times in my head. That I'm like, oh no, they're hot.
yeah, but he's hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I love. One thing which I find, because I know it wasn't intentionally, but especially like while following your TikToks, which if you're not following Angela Montoya's TikTok and Instagram, she's hilarious. And you should definitely check those out. But people say that Sinner's Isle gives Rapunzel vibes or Tangled vibes, and in this book, it's not really a spoiler because you have the sticker, but there's a frying pan that's used. So I do like the way that Tangled is following you in for each of your books is fun.
That's so funny.
Yes. My next question is, so your version of vampires are definitely inspired by like Mexican and Aztec culture. Where were your thoughts of like, this is how I want to do my vampires? Did you originally at any point think of going like, I guess the traditional European vampires, or you like, no, I want to make them my own? Which I love the way they are. I love mythos and lore in books, and every time I got to that, I was like super focused on it, and I like the rules and stuff you made for it.
Thank you. Yeah, honestly, it was never even a question for me of like I'm gonna pull from like Eurocentric like mythos. I was just always like, no, if they're part of this world that is so like far removed from Europe, obviously like this is a secondary world. It's not like I'm not basing it necessarily off of Alta California, but it's like, we get it. And so like immediately my mind was just like, no, it has to be something unique to this place and to this world that they're in. And so my mind immediately was just like, well, obviously like Mexica or Aztec lore is like the perfect place to pull from. And that's what I did. Like I did a bunch of research, and just like globally, there are all sorts of like vampire, tales. They're not called vampires, but that's what, they are in all of these different cultures. And so yeah, there is lore in Mexico. There's lore, like Mexica lore of vampire like creatures. And so I was just doing research on it, and I wanted to pull from it, but I didn't want to like pull exactly from the lore, because for one, I didn't want to be like disrespectful to people who like worship these gods like in real world. And I didn't want to like take something that already existed and tweak it to make it fit me and what I was hoping for. So I pulled from it and then switch things and switch names. You know what I mean? Like I made it my own.
You like borrowed from it, but you didn't take it.
Yes, 100%. And I and I also wanted to make these vampires recognizable, where you're like, okay, obviously he's got to drink blood, like the criteria of a vampire. And so it actually like was rather easy to blend it of like, there is a god, in the land of the dead, and it can take form into a jaguar, and he hunts for hearts. Like, hello, that's perfect. And because he's in the land of the dead, he can't do things like a human would do. He's not exposed to sunlight. There's things that like trap him into his own specific land. And so, yeah, like I just kept building off the lore and trying to blend all of these things. And honestly, it was a blast. Like, it was so stinking fun to come up with all of the, like, I think that's usually like the backstory and the mythology is my, like, I think the funnest part. It's just making up this whole new world. Yeah.
It you could tell because that the effort was put into it, because it felt natural, the right, like way it worked. It didn't feel like, sometimes because I read a lot of fantasy, you see it where it's like the effort wasn't put in, but it flowed the way it was. It was really well.
Thank you, because I worked my ass off for that. So thank you.
So, your two main characters from both your books, Rosalina and Carolina, are both fighting the patriarchy in very different ways. Rosalina in more of she's fighting the system, and Carolina in a fighting the family kind of machismo in it, and especially in today's age where like this is going to be a battle constantly had. How important was it for you to like make sure these are your characters are doing these things, and that they, like I said, I do like that they fight them in very different ways.
Yeah.
On that.
Oh, yes. It was so important. And I feel like every single book that I will probably ever write will have those sort of themes until the entire world changes. So I have a feeling, sadly, that I will continue to write these books. No, it was so important. And I feel like for Sinner's Isle, we weren't, but back then it felt like we were in this such a heightened time when I wrote it, like 2019, 2020, where, like a woman's bodily autonomy was questioned constantly and things were shifting in the laws. And so like there was so much anger I felt. And so that's why where Sinner's Isle came to be, when it came to like the rules of the world and the systems. And I wanted to fight it, and I had Rosa do it for me. And so with the Cruel Thirst, yeah, it was kind of the same thing, but in a much smaller, like condensed world, because Catalina's not out and about. She's in this tiny town with just her family, pretty much, and that still has these ideas of what a young woman should and shouldn't do. And so it's constant battle of like butting against that. And, and some young ladies, like her cousin in the story, are perfectly happy to be that. And there was no judgment from Carolina. Like, she's like, perfect. If that's how you want to live, yes. But that's not how I want to live. And I'm going to fight my dad until he changes his mind, because he's wrong. And so, yeah, I wanted to just like open up a space where young women or anybody could feel themselves like seen in that role of just like, no, that's not who I am. And I don't have to be that way, because these traditions aren't necessarily beneficial to everybody. So I'm gonna keep knocking on my dad's door until he listens.
Yeah, and on the same like coin of that, you have our male main characters also fight machismo in different ways
Yes.
as well, where and that is such a big thing of like Mexican culture and stuff, and that they both fight it again in different levels, because Marino, he has to fight like his own ideology of it, and
Yes.
Lalo, who's a softer character, has to kind of fight the expectations of everybody, which I appreciate that in the like, as someone with more of the male gaze in it, that I feel like sometimes skipped over in it because they just meet the perfect guy that is either above it or plays into the alpha like standpoint. So I do like that you also show the effects that like patriarchy and stuff have on young boys.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, honestly. Thank you. Because, yeah, like with Mariano, it was totally purposeful that he was this, like, wanted to be this alpha pirate man, because that's what he learned from his family and what he subsequently, like, thought is what he should be. And so I put characters in his life that challenged that, and that softened that. And he was, my hope in that character was like he was eventually able to see, like, I could just be who I am. Like, there is no like standard. Like, I could just like I could
Yeah.
love and be gentle and sweet and soft, while also being protective and, a dude. He's allowed to do all of the things. And yeah, so Lalo was, yeah, like the opposite pretty much, where he was just like, he was the opposite of what people probably were expecting of him from this, like, young gentleman, who should know how to say all the right things and take charge of the room, but it just wasn't who he was.
Let's see what we got next. So okay, so we do have some other like Instagram questions and rapid fire questions, but I do want
Amazing.
to talk about your next release that you've like the synopsis. We have 2026. We're doing a carnival like inspired world. If you want to talk or can talk about that.
Yeah, honestly, it's so like I finished it and sent it off to my editor, so it's like very fresh and things will probably still change. But this I think is going to be a really really fun book. It's called Carnival Fantastico, and it follows this traveling carnival that is magical. And so it's gilded and glistening and glittery and all of these things, but there's a dark undertone, undercurrent happening within the carnival. And so it follows Esmeralda, who is part of the carnival, and she's basically like scraping her way through, and she wants to be the lead act. And then she enters a young man who actually happens to have a past with her. They grew up together. They were childhood sweethearts, and it ended badly. They hate each other. And then they learn that they have to work together because they have understood that there are these darker undercurrents in happening within the carnival, and people are going missing. Some are dying, and so it's up to them to try to decide how to save their friends and themselves. So yeah, it's very whimsical and also dark, and I think it's going to be a blast. We'll see. Hopefully.
I'm very excited for it because I think you said the main male character's name's Ignacio.
It is.
That's my middle name. I hardly
Aha.
things like that, so I was like, "Ooh, I'm excited!" I'm excited.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I do. So we have witches, vampires, and magic carnivals, and I do know because Sinner's Isle came out on your birthday. You won the lottery Halloween birthday.
Yep.
I do love how all of that fits the vibe of.
It's the vibe. Yep.
Is there any like this goes into one of our first questions from Instagram from Helen? Any like obscure or not even obscure, but like folklore creature that you can't wait to like get your hands on and write, or that you have dreams of writing one day?
I mean, I really want to write some sort of ghost story. I don't know if that counts, but I am desperate like for some sort of ghost story, and I have ideas. I think it would entail a haunted Gothic style mansion in the woods. So I really want to explore that. I think next, maybe even zombies. I don't know.
Okay.
I think I just love writing about things that I love. And so obviously we got pirates, witches, vampires, carnivals. So definitely ghosts, and I do love me some zombies. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Love a good ghost, and zombies are fun.
Yeah, they are. I don't know how I would do it, but we'll see.
Our next question comes from Princess, and she is asking, "What are the star signs of your MCs, and what are their love languages?"
Oh my gosh. I am not qualified. I don't know star signs very well, to be honest. Like I know mine, that it makes sense that I'm a Scorpio is what everybody's told me, but I'm not an expert. So I can't say. I've had friends tell me, and then I've already forgotten what they are. Um, so yeah, anybody listening, if you have read the books, let me know. Let me know. But yeah, what do you?
For Cruel Thirst, just because when I've read most recently, Carolina it gives Aries or like a Sagittarius vibes. Like she'd be a fire sign, and Lalo would be a water sign. He would either be a Cancer or a Pisces.
Yeah, that
Um,
feels right.
that just the energy they give. I can maybe see Lalo being an Earth sign, but it gives like either Cancer and Aries or Pisces Aries like love interest vibes.
Hey, I am here for it. I agree. Yeah, fire and water, 100% all the way. Let's see. Their love languages. I think I think Lalo is like words of affirmation, and I think giving and like quality time. And I think Carolina is going to be like physical touch. And I think, once she gets her hands on Lalo, it's over. Yeah. And then let's see, for Rosa from Sinner's Isle, it's been a while. I don't know. I think probably like words of affirmation and like quality time. So like Lalo. And then I think Mariana was the opposite. Same as Carolina. Physical touch.
The next question is from Read Como La Flor on Instagram. Asked,
Oh, love it.
"What is one takeaway you want your readers to have after reading your book or books?"
Honestly, and it feels like for both books, I mean, it feels the same, which is like obviously like the power of love, but not just romantic love, but like friendship and family and community, and how beautiful all of those things are. Um, and truly, and I feel like I learned this for both books, is like even in the darkest of moments, you can find a bit of joy or the good, and a lot of times you have to fight to find it because the world does seem so bleak and dark, but it's worth fighting to find it. Yeah, I feel like I put both characters in both stories through hell, which I love, but I feel like they both were able to find that little spark of magic and goodness, and that's what keeps us all going. So yeah, I think it's like sometimes finding the humor in the darkest of moments, which I'm bad at. Like I know I'll make a joke at the probably the worst time, but it's like the only way I know how to cope.
I'm
So
sure. I mean, I had this helped me, especially like with this last week. The time we're in right now is that joy is a form of resistance.
mhm.
That we have to remember that we have to look for the light in the dark. So I do think those are very like powerful messages for people to have.
Yeah.
And that giving in despair is like the ultimate loss. And so
Yes.
light in the dark is what people need. And I
100%.
love that message.
Yeah.
What would okay, because I just came up with this question in my head. But if you were to somehow ever get adaptations, which of your works, any like, what would you want for any of them? If any casting, would you want it to be like live action or animated or anything like that? What would be your dream? You get like the power to decide.
I love that. I mean, obviously, it would be so fun to see either one like live action. I think they would both be so cool. Um, the only like, and I have characters in mind that I've just like scanned through Pinterest, but like Becky G always is playing. She's always gonna be my Rosalinda,
Mm,
100%. I don't know what we gotta do, who we gotta, pay. But honestly, I think for Sinner's Isle, it would be really cool to see it animated
I
and
could see
like
that.
in the style of like Arcane, just because that's just what I've
Yeah,
just been watching. Like something like that, I think would be because I think animation lends itself so beautifully to fantasy because you can draw all of these like the shadows
yeah.
and like you can do things in the animated world that just looks so cool.
I think Rosalina's powers, especially changes that happen, would be so amazing animated and
Yeah.
could be so fun if it has like especially like a stylized thing for it. I had headcanon Sochi Gomez as Rosalina. If you've seen Dancing with the Stars, she has the dance in a red dress that when the scene happens, the red dress, like
Yeah.
that's what I picture is
I love
who I
Sochi.
pictured reading it. I do too. Um, but yeah, Sinner's Isle animated would be amazing.
I'm here for it. Like, let's find a way.
Yes. Um, as someone, your main books are YA. Do you have any dreams of stepping into other genres, or is YA like your home for right now?
I love YA. Like I love that it gives space to young readers, to adults. Like I love that it just runs the gambit, and there's so much like hope and joy and like for me like sweetness in YA. But I definitely am ready to see like to sink my chops into some adult action. I'm writing an adult book right now, and yeah, I think it's fun. So we'll see how it goes. I have like the first draft finished, but now I'm going back and really digging into all of the details. But hopefully next year I'll go on submission to editors with it, and we'll see where it goes. But it's kind of like it's feeling very like the Mummy or Indiana Jones meets Atlantis.
Okay,
So we
loving both
shall
those
see.
vibes.
Yes.
We're manifesting the animated series, and we're manifesting this adult fantasy.
Yes, please.
These are things
Please.
that are going to happen.
Amen.
We're putting that in the
Manifesting.
universe. So now we're going
Yes.
to do a little bit of a lightning round questions. These are not super like quick questions, but they're just not as like discussion based.
Okay.
But what are you currently reading?
I've been reading different projects from authors that are up and coming. So to blurb their books. So I've been reading back to back so many amazing books that are coming, which I probably can't announce yet. But what did I just finish? Oh, Midnights with You. It's just came out. It's a young adult book. It's a contemporary. It
Mm.
is so freaking good. It is the shit. So that I just finished that one, and what else do I have over here? I don't know. I just got Isabel Ibanez's second book that I'll
Yeah,
probably be starting because she left us on a cliffhanger.
exactly.
So yeah, so I'm bouncing around all over the place, but yeah, I highly recommend Midnights with You. It's so
Okay,
freaking good.
I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah.
What are you currently listening to music wise?
Okay, I just yesterday, and let me look it up to get the right playlist. But I listened to this yesterday when I was on a walk, and I had so much fun. So it's on Spotify. It's classical music that feels like falling in love.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So it's got like Howl's Moving Castle and all these other like they're like scores from like romantic movies. And I was walking yesterday and I was just having a moment where I was like, oh, I just need like a flowy dress.
I felt that.
Yes. So and I'm listening to Christmas music as well.
Okay. I gotta wait till my rules, even though I'm like fighting the urge, is once Thanksgiving dinner is eaten, I can listen to Christmas music, but otherwise I would irritate everybody around me. And
Good for you. Good restraint.
I will be irritating them with the Wicked play soundtrack, but
Yeah.
I gotta wait for Christmas.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm going to see Wicked on Thursday and then Friday.
Ooh,
I'm going to
okay.
be Wicked out.
I've gotta wait for my brother because he works at the theater, so we gotta try to find a great like time to go see it. But Friday at the latest for me.
Yes.
I am
So
so
excited.
excited for that.
Oh my God. It's going to be so good.
Who are some of your favorite vampires?
Ooh. I freaking love Blade.
Okay.
Such a badass. What We Do in the Shadows, or yeah,
Ooh.
that whole show. Every vampire on that show is my favorite vampire. It's just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like Twilight, Edward is okay to me, but I love I love I love Twilight. I love the Cullens, Carlisle. Yeah, I'm trying to like I have a whole. I think those are probably my main ones. Blade is top on my list though.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite like just badass female characters?
Ooh. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing blanks now. Um, what the heck have I been watching? I don't know all of them. Drawing blanks. Every single female character I've ever read is my favorite. I'm trying. Let me see what I have in the back. I don't know. Yeah, all of them. Oh, I just The Dividing Sky by Jill 2. It's a sci-fi, young adult sci-fi, badass female lead in that one. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of like C dramas and K dramas that are like historical ones, you know, where that's just like, oh, it's gorgeous. So they have a lot of really badass characters too, female leads in there.
I get that. Yeah. So this is a question like going to be one of our wrapping up questions. What is on the shelf with your books? What like books? If you can like envision what other books do you want your books to stand next to, as in like by other authors would you want there?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Like as many Latina authors as possible, just all of them. I just want to be surrounded by the gang. Obviously, like Isabel Ibanez, Isabel Cañas, Zoraida Cordova, Amparo Ortiz, Sandra Proudman, who's up and coming. She's got a book coming out next year, although she has some anthologies. I'll go with Jill 2 again. She's not Latina, but I'll go. Like I think I have so many like amazing authors that I'm lucky enough to know. That like I just feel honored just to be with my friends up there. And I just freaking love books and writers and bookish people. So I feel like I'm just honored to be next to anybody. Just happy to be on the shelf.
Let's see. My last question for you today will be: what is a question you want people to ask you about your books?
Oh, where can I buy them? How can I pre-order? Where can I get them? No, that's for real though. Actually,
Yeah.
you can buy them right now.
We gotta hustle on that.
Right now, guys. I think truly, I think the question I always just would love anybody to ask is just like, what's next? And what other books do you have? So like, seeing people are finding me through A Cruel Thirst because the cover's drawn, a lot of attention. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
It's beautiful. And so ARC readers right now are reading it and getting to see me for the very first time. And so, yeah, the best questions I've been getting is like, oh my gosh, I love this. What else do you have? That to me is just like, thank you. Like you liked it enough. You're going to give me another try. Thank you.
Shout out to both your covers, though. They're both gorgeous. I think I was on call with friends when I saw the Cruel Thirst cover, and I like let out a gasp, like, "Oh, this is gorgeous!" Like,
Yeah,
it's so pretty.
We've been blessed by the cover gods.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, I'm obsessed.
And about because you said where to buy, I will say for people watching, there's still a chance to pre-order Cruel Thirst because it comes out in a month. And if you're going to pre-order, it doesn't hurt to pre-order from A Seat at the Table Books, because I believe you have a you can get a signed copy and a beautiful art print,
Yes.
and I think a sticker, right?
Yes, yeah, you get the pan wielding sticker, a art print, and then there's like a little card from Carolina herself that she wrote, and then a signed copy. So please, support an amazing indie bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
A Seat at the Table Books, so great.
It is. I'm lucky to be there. I actually found that bookstore because of you. Because
you?
Yeah, because I guess my origin story for you is I love to go on Goodreads up and coming lists, and I saw Sinner's Isle. I don't think it had a cover yet, but I was like, Mexican inspired witches, sign me up. And then I found you on Instagram, and I was like, wait, are they local? And then because you were doing your tour, and that's how I found A Seat at the Table book. So that was my first time going there.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that's amazing.
So I'm thankful because I love A Seat at the Table. It's a great place to go to.
Yes.
So pre-order that. I linked down your website down below so you guys to be able to find all the ways to follow Angela Montoya, like her Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. I don't know if you have a Twitter at this. And everywhere to follow there, and you think it has the shops on there as well.
Yeah. Yes. Follow me and buy.
Yes. It's Christmas time. They're great gifts.
Right?
I will be recommending these books till the day I die.
Oh my God. Thank you. I love you. I adore you. It was so fun seeing you the other day, and then at Y'all West. That was a blast.
I know. I was so excited. I didn't even see you until you came up out of nowhere for the other day at the Isabel Kanye signing, but not Kanye's.
Ibanez, yeah.
Similar name.
Yeah.
Throw me off. But I'm gonna end the live here. So thank you guys for watching. And check out her books.
Thank you.